Okay, so we've gone over how to classify triangles, how to find triangle inequalities, and then over the weekend you should have watched, not over the weekend, on Thursday night, I believe, you should have watched the sum of angle measurements. So if you didn't watch sum of angle measurements, the second half of this isn't going to make sense. So please make sure you've completed all of your videos from last week. On Thursday, I believe it was, you had 3 videos alone. So if we were in school, in class, we would have done 2 together and then you would have done 1 for homework. But for that day, you had 3 videos to watch. So today we're just going to kind of practice it all. So I'm going to do one, you're going to do one type thing. So if we look at number 1, it says to classify each triangle by its sides and angles. So we've already practiced this. So the first 4 problems should be relatively easy. So if we're going to go by its sides, and we're going to look at, are the sides equal? Do they have any tick marks on them? And if you see here, we have 5, 13, and 12. That means no sides are equal. Therefore, we're looking at a scalene. Okay, scalene means that no sides are equal. The next thing we need to look at is our angles. Okay, so angles, what is something that sticks out and is obvious of all 3 angles? And that would be this right here. This right here is a right angle. And so that tells us what kind of triangle it is. It is a right scalene triangle. So our answer is D. Okay, so let's go to number 2. Same thing, we're looking at sides and angles. Let's go with angles first. So if we notice out of our angles, what's happening here? We have a 75 and a 75. If we have 2 angles that are equivalent, 2 angles equal to each other, then that's going to tell us something about our sides, right? Then we have 2 sides that are equal. These are just little notes that you should know that I want to write down. So if we have 2 angles that are equal, that means we have 2 sides that are equal. And I know that we said we were going to start with angles first, but that just kind of spoke out to me whenever I was looking at that. But okay, let's look at the types of angles that we have. 75, 75, 30. All angles are less than 90 degrees. So what kind of angle is that? If they're less than 90 degrees, that is an acute angle. So that means that we get to mark off C and D because none of them are acute. Okay, so then let's look at our sides. Remember this tick mark right here means that we have equal sides. And I just told you that we have 2 equal sides. If we have 2 equal sides, we have 2 equal angles. If we have 2 equal angles, we have 2 equal sides. Okay, so is an isosceles or a scalene triangle meaning 2 equal sides? If you said isosceles, you are correct. An isosceles triangle tells us that we have 2 equivalent sides. A scalene triangle tells us we have no equivalent sides. Okay, so I want you to press pause and complete numbers 3 and 4. Okay? And then press play when you have finished. Okay, so we are on number 5. It says write and solve an equation to determine the value of x in each figure. So this is what you learned on your video. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just separate these 2 numbers here. Okay, so we are working on number 5. All 3 angles in a triangle equal, 180 degrees. Okay, so that means that we have this formula that we could use that says x plus x plus x equals 180 degrees. Okay, because I can add up all my angles and make them equal 180. And that's a triangle. Okay, so then I'm going to just take my values here, right? So I have an x, I have 124, and I have 30. And I'm going to write those down. X plus 124 plus 30 equals 180. Okay, so then I'm going to simplify the left side of my equal sign here. And I'm going to add those together. So I didn't do anything with x, so I just bring x down. So x plus 124 plus 30. 4 plus 0 is 4. 3 plus 2 is 5. And then 1. So that's 154 equals 180. Okay, so then now I use my rules of solving an equation. Draw my line down the equal sign, and then inverse operation. So if this is x plus 154, then I would do the inverse operation, which is to subtract. So I'm subtracting 154 from both sides. This is the part where it says remember to balance. What I do on one side, I have to do on the other. Okay, so this goes to 0. And I'm going to bring x down here. So then I have x equals 180 minus 154. We have to borrow right here. So 10 minus 4 is 6. And then 7 minus 5 is 2. And 1 minus 1 is 0. So x equals 26 degrees. So that's that missing value that we have right here of x, 26 degrees. Okay, so I want you to press pause and solve number 6. Okay, and then press play when you have finished. Okay, so now we're going to, if your class, check with your classmates, make sure y'all got the same answer on number 6, and then let's go to number 7. Okay, so number 7 says what's the value of x again. So this is where we have our x plus x plus x equals 180. This is all 3 angles equaling 180 degrees. Okay, so if we go over here, we have 3 angles here. We have 88. Sorry, my pen's not acting funny. 88.4. We have x, and we have 57.1. Okay, so here we have, I always like to write x first. X plus 88.4 plus 57.1. And it's addition, so it doesn't matter which numbers you write first because we're adding here, right? Okay, so we're going to simplify the left side, and that's taking these 2 right here and adding them, okay? So I'm going to come over here. 88.4 plus 57.1. Okay, so 4 plus 1 is 5. 8 plus 7 is 15. I'll bring your decimal down. And then 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 1 is 14. Okay, so let's bring down our x. X plus 145.5 equals 180. Okay, this is a one-step equation, so what am I doing now? I'm drawing a line down my equal sign, and then I'm doing inverse operation, which means to subtract 145.5 from both sides. This zeroes out. We're bringing x down. Okay, let's subtract. We don't have a decimal on this one, so we're going to place a 0, decimal 0. We have to borrow. That makes that a 10. The 0 becomes a 9, and this 8 becomes a 7. 10 minus 5 is 0.5. 9 minus 5 is 4. And 7 minus 4 is 3. So this angle is 34.5 degrees. Don't forget your degree sign. So your answer here is A. Okay. You have number 8 to do, so go ahead and press pause. Do number 8, and then once everyone's finished, check it in class. And then let's move on to number 9. Okay, so here is number 9. It says that the two sides of the caution sign form a triangle. Okay, and if you see it has a red line here that makes this triangle, oops, on your paper, right? So from here to here, here to here, here to here. Okay, so then it says each of those side lengths measure 24 inches. So let's label that. It says this side is 24 inches, and it says this side is 24 inches. What does that mean if two sides are equal? What kind of triangle is that? It's an isosceles triangle. Okay, then it says, so here's where it said 24 inches. Then two angles measure 70 degrees. Cool. So we have 70 and 70. Here are my two sides that are equal. These kind of act like arrows, meaning these two angles are equal. Okay. Classify the triangle and determine the measure of the third angle in the triangle. Okay, so what kind of triangle is it? We already said isosceles. So here I see isosceles, here I see isosceles, which means A and D go out the window. If these are 70 degrees, then we got to figure out this third angle to A. We know that it's going to be less than 90 because both of my answer choices are acute. But is it... I'm pretty much just told you the answer, but we have to show our work, so let's do our work. Okay, so 3 angles in a triangle add up to be 180 degrees. Perfect. I don't know one of the angles, and one is 70, and another one is 70 degrees. I add these two numbers up first, so 70 plus 70 we should know is 140. And then I do solve my one-step equation by drawing my line in inverse operation. 140 subtracted on both sides. And x equals 180 minus 140 is 40 degrees. Perfect. Okay, so you guys have this is 9. You have 10 left to do, and then once you have finished, you need to make sure that you submit this on Canvas.